Have you ever looked around the office, rubbed your eyes, and thought, why am I still working my butt off at this job that I hate? The office is empty, your dinner is cold at home, and you're still plugging away at a job that you really don't like. Maybe you don't hate it with every fiber of your being, but it doesn't excite you, inspire you, or make you feel fulfilled. And yet, you keep putting the hours in. Sound familiar? I'm Kate, and I've been in that position. But now I make videos to help people live the best life they can. That's right, you're not alone. A lot of us have spent too much time in this strange and exhausting category. Workaholics who just can't stop working even though they hate the job. And that raises a big question. Why? Why are we so committed to something that we really don't care about? Why do we treat our jobs like sacred duties, even when they are just obligations that don't provide any joy at all? Are you doing that because you need the money? Yeah, we all have bills to pay. But couldn't you find another way to bring in enough money without sacrificing your soul? Do people depend on you? Once again, couldn't you find another way to give them the support they need? Maybe it's habit, or maybe it's fear. Maybe you think, if I just keep pushing, something will change. Maybe you would feel guilty stopping. Maybe you tie your worth to how busy you are. Have you ever told someone how late you worked, almost like a badge of honor, even though you secretly wished you could throw your laptop out the window? I've been there too. Yep. Waking up, rolling into work, doing the tasks like a robot, checking off to-dos like it's some sort of twisted game where no one ever wins. And at the end of the day, I wasn't proud. I was just tired. But I still did it again the next day. So what gives? Why do we keep showing up, pushing hard, staying late, all for a job that doesn't even light us up? Sometimes it starts with good intentions. Maybe you needed the job and you told yourself it was temporary, just until you saved up enough to give yourself a cushion so you could figure out what you really wanted to do with your life. But then 5 years went by, or 10, or more, and there you were, still living the 9 to 5 grind. Other times, we fall into the trap to be productive. Society glorifies being busy. You hustle because you hear that your value is tied to how hard you work, how exhausted you are, and how much you sacrifice. So even if your job drains you, you keep going because resting feels like failing. But that's how burnout sneaks up on you. Have you ever asked yourself what would happen if you actually stopped? If you left at 5 p.m. on the dot? If you said no to that urgent overtime project? Do you imagine chaos would be the result? That the business would fold without your amazing help? Do you think your coworkers would judge you? Your boss would be furious? Or maybe you fear you'd judge yourself. Yeah, that inner voice calling you lazy, ungrateful, or just not dedicated. But let's be real for a second. Can you really call it true dedication if you dread every task? Is it truly responsible to sacrifice your mental health for a paycheck that only buys you more stress? There's also the fact that your work gives you structure, and you might need that structure. I know that for many years I needed that structure, or else I was afraid I'd end up being a couch potato. To be honest, I felt like I didn't have enough ambition of my own to be productive if I didn't have deadlines set by my job. And anyhow, what would I have done with so much freedom? Yes, work gives purpose. Even a bad job provides a rhythm to your day. Take that away, and what are you left with? Time, freedom, uncertainty? That can be really scary. Sometimes it feels safer to stay in a job we hate than face the unknown. But just because something is familiar doesn't mean that it's good for you. Think about your weekends. Do you spend them recovering from the work week instead of enjoying your life? Yeah, I know that routine. I always had my tasks mapped out for the weekend. Grocery shopping Saturday morning, followed by laundry, then vacuuming later in the day. You get the idea, right? And then, do Sunday nights feel heavy because Monday is looming? Do you dread vacations ending because you'll have to go back to pretending everything's fine at your job? That's not just a sign that you need a break. It might be a sign that you need a new direction. So, how do you know if you're a workaholic who hates their job? Well, here are a few signs to chew on. You put in long hours at the office, but feel no satisfaction from the work you're doing. You constantly think about quitting, but never actually do. You fantasize about other careers, but dismiss them as unrealistic. You tell people you're fine, but deep down, you're not. Does any of that sound like you? If so, first, please know that you're not broken. You're not a failure, and you're not alone. You've been caught up in a system that confuses productivity with purpose. What would it look like to stop pouring all your energy into a job you don't love and start redirecting some of that energy towards something that really matters to you? I'm not saying quit tomorrow. Unless you're ready, in that case, go for it. But maybe start small. Start by asking yourself better questions like, what do I do just because it's expected? What would I try if I weren't afraid to fail? You don't need to have it all figured out right away. You just need to be honest with yourself and maybe talk about it with people who get it. You'd be surprised how many of us are wearing the same mask, pretending we're okay with our jobs because we think everyone else is. But when someone finally says, I hate this, but I don't know what else to do, that's when real conversations start and change can begin. You owe yourself more than just surviving. You deserve a life that includes joy, creativity, rest, and yes, work that excites and fulfills you. And if that sounds impossible, then maybe that's your starting point. What would you have to do to make that possible? So let me ask you again, are you a workaholic even though you hate your job? And if the answer is yes, what are you going to do about it? Whatever you decide, just know that you don't have to keep living this way. There is another path. It might be messy, it might be scary, but it might also be the thing that finally makes you feel alive again. Let me know in the comments below if you're in a job that you hate or if you've moved from a job you hated. And thanks for watching. Bye for now. See you next time.